Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to review my Omega Speedmaster 3861 white dial, also known as the Craig White. I got this watch about a month ago, worn it for about a month, so I'm pretty familiar with it right now. Some of you have known I've actually had the black dial version of this watch and I got rid of it for this white dial. So very familiar with the Speedmaster 3861, with how it wears, the functionality. The only difference is that this is a white dial. Right now, it's in this Omega carrying case. If you've ever sent in your Omega for service, you know that they will send back the watch in this red carrying case here. This little snap button here, it opens up like this. It's a leather type material. However, I don't know if it's real leather, probably not. So let's take out the watch and show you guys a little bit closer. So this is the 3861 Sapphire Sandwich white dial. This did just go through a price increase in the US on October 1st, 2025. Due to the 39% tariffs imposed on the Swiss government. So this watch is actually $9,100 now. This went up $600 over the last few days and over about $1,000 over the past 6 months or so. I believe Omega did 3 price increases this year. They're not cheap anymore. But as you can see here, this is the white dial Sapphire Sandwich, meaning that there is a sapphire crystal on the top as well as a sapphire crystal on the back here. So with this sapphire crystal, you can see that beautiful 3861 coaxial movement go, and it's pretty beautiful. And the finishing is pretty top notch for being machine made. So it's always it's always a treat to turn the watch around and just take a look at that movement. So this is a white lacquer dial. Omega put a few coats of this white here to make this dial, and it's actually pretty smooth. Whereas on my black one, it's more of a textured matte dial where it looked a little bit porous. It had some texture to it. This is still the step dial. As you can see, the dial does step down at the indices, and also the sub dials are stepped as well. Now this is a chronograph function. You have the crown here, obviously. This is the start stop, and this is the reset. So you start it, see that second hand go, stop it. You could restart it again, stop it, and reset. So you have the second subdial here at the 9 o'clock position. You have the minutes chronograph subdial here at the 3 o'clock position, and then you have the hour subdial at the 6 o'clock position. As you can see, the indices here are black. The hands are black with lume, and the indices are a polished, shiny black. Now, I will say, I love the polish and the shininess of the indices. However, I will say in direct sunlight, sometimes the indices do shine a little bit much. A lot of people are saying that the white dial is more legible with the white background, the black hands, which I agree. But I feel like in very excessive sunlight or a high light environment, the indices do sort of disappear. So it's a little hard to read. And to be honest, there's a lot of reflection coming from that white dial. The white dial has so much reflection that sometimes it is a little bit hard to glance down and quickly read the time. You kind of have to look at it for a few seconds. The white dial, and then the difference with this one over the black is sort of a reverse, where the black dial version had a black dial, white indices. This has a white dial, black indices. This also has a few touches of red that adds a little pop of color. So I'll start the chronograph hand here. As you can see, the tip of the seconds hand is red right there, and also the Speedmaster text is red. Obviously, they kept the same aluminum tachymeter bezel. I wish they had upgraded this to ceramic. And now I know a few people in the comments will say, why did you sell your black one to get this? The black one was more of a purist watch. I do agree, the black one is more purist. However, I did have the Sapphire Sandwich version of the black one, and as you know, that was not the one that went to space. The Hesselite version did, so I didn't really have a purist version to begin with. But I love the look of this white dial. It comes on this 5-link bracelet here, and on the Sapphire Sandwich always, you do have the polished center links there. So you do get a little bit of shine here. It is a 42mm case. However, that case does include the crown guards here. So if you measure just the bezel, it comes out to about 40mm. So it wears relatively compact. Speaking of the wear, I'll just put it on wrist real quick and just show you how it looks on my 6.75 inch wrist. It does not feel large at all. It actually wears more compact than my Rolex Submariners. It doesn't overhang at all. It's just very comfortable. The bracelet is a 20mm lug length, and it does taper very much. So this clasp is relatively thin. And I will say, if you watch any of my other videos, I complained about the comfort of this bracelet on my black one. I do not have the same issue with this bracelet. So my black one, the bracelet on it was extremely defective. It passed QC when it shouldn't have. It was extremely sharp and jagged on the inside, where every time I would wear it, it would literally scrape my wrist. It would be extremely uncomfortable, where I actually had to open the clasp every 20 minutes just for some relief, because it was extremely uncomfortable. I've never had an issue with any watch, and I've had tons of cheap watches, sub $100 watches, where those bracelets were fine all day. With that black one, there was an issue. Omega ended up fixing it for me. However, this new one here does not have the issue. It's very comfortable. The bracelet does articulate very well here. Now, I will say, if you run your fingers back and forth, you do feel a little bit of scraping, but I don't feel that on my wrist. It's only if I really rub my fingers back and forth. So the bracelet isn't the smoothest on the inside that I've ever worn. However, it's still extremely comfortable, still extremely wearable, and I'm pretty happy with it. So the thickness on this watch is 13.2 millimeters, which is not a thin watch, right? But the way that Omega did it with this mid case here and all of the curves and the crystal popping out and the case back popping out, it's not a slab side, so it actually doesn't really wear that thick. It actually wears pretty thin. Now, this is a manual wind watch. If this was an automatic, it certainly would be thicker, meaning that I actually have to wind this watch every day or two. So it does have a 50-hour power reserve. The watch can last more than 50 hours, but Metas tested it for 50 hours with accuracy. So it's guaranteed to be within the Metas specs of 0 to plus 5 seconds per day within that 50-hour power reserve. Anything over 50 hours, you're gonna start to lose time, and it may not be within that range. So like I said, it is manual wind. A lot of people may wind a watch like this. I find that it takes a long time. If you take the back of your finger and just roll it like this, you actually get a bunch of full turns on this, where you can wind the watch much faster than doing these little half turns here. Just touching back on the movement, this is a coaxial 3861. It has a silicone balance spring, coaxial escapement, has a free sprung balance, and it's Metas certified. It is water resistant up to 50 meters. Now, Omega claims that you can swim with this watch with rigorous movement up to 50 meters. So this is a true 50 meters. It's not like some other brands that say 50 meters. However, it's just splash proof, or it might be just safe in the rain, but you can't submerge it. You can actually submerge this watch as long as you don't operate the crown or the pushers, and it should be good to go. If your watch does have water that leaks into the case, something was wrong with it, and I'm sure Omega would fix it under warranty. Back to this bracelet here. So the clasp does have an on-the-fly micro adjustment. It's about a 2 millimeter micro adjustment. So what you do basically, if you're wearing a watch or you have it sized, if your wrist swells up or it's a little hot, you can extend the bracelet by about 2 millimeters. So what you do, there's a button, it says push right there. So I push this in and then pull out. So it just, you see that little gap in there? So now the bracelet is a little bit wider by about 2 millimeters. As you can see, it's a little bit looser than I was wearing it before. So this comes in very handy. The 2 millimeters is a nice comfort adjustment if your wrist swells up a little bit. However, I do wish there was more adjustability. For example, if you lose a little weight or gain a little weight, that 2 millimeters is not gonna cut it, and you're gonna have to put in or remove another link into your watch. So, you know, the 2 millimeters is nice. I wish it had maybe 2 clicks, so maybe like a 4 millimeter. 3 clicks would have been even better to have 6 millimeters total, where when you have it sized in the AD or whatever, you leave it in the center click, and then you can make it tighter, make it looser. That would be great. Maybe on the next iteration of the Speedmaster, hopefully. So again, beautiful watch. Been wearing this for about a month now. Like I said, very familiar with the Speedmaster. You have the nice curved lugs here. You have the polished chamfers here on the watch. The slides are brushed. Like again, the bracelet is brushed except for the paw center links. I did film an unboxing of this watch, and it's the last video up on my channel. And I talked a little bit about it, comparing it to my previous black version and why I changed. Super happy with the white dial over the black. Personally, I do feel like it pops, and the touches of red make it gorgeous. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys later.